Hi folks, I come to you for the second time. The first time you never saw it and you'll never see it. Unfortunately, Spielberger had an issue with the moving pictures making machine. For some reason it didn't record. I spoke for like 35 minutes and we had an issue. And I thought that I wasn't going to do it again. After talking for 35 minutes and not having the device save anything, I was discouraged, and I thought to myself, maybe I wasn't supposed to say anything. Maybe I should just leave it alone, not say anything. And a few hours have gone by. I just took a shower, and while I was in the shower, I was thinking, maybe I should do it again, and maybe this time try to keep it 15 minutes, maybe, instead of 35 minutes. So I'm going to try to condense everything that I said before in a shorter format, and maybe hopefully I'll be able to speak a little faster. So I know I talk a lot, but I don't talk that fast sometimes. So let me see if I can get this out a lot quicker than I did the first time. Folks, if you are divorced, if you are in a divorce, if you are in a separation, if you are male or female, doesn't matter. In most cases, the person most affected is the male. It's just the way the system is, at least in the United States. I don't know about other countries. But if you are in the same boat, I want you to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. You may be going through difficult situations, and I understand. I've been there. And my kids have been there. Fortunately, my kids have seen the light and they moved on. They just left. They just couldn't stand living with my ex-wife anymore. Speaking of my ex-wife, I'm not saying any of this for you to feel sorry for me. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I've already been through all of this. You don't have to feel sorry for me. And please do not go in the comments and bash my ex-wife. I've already forgiven her. I've already moved on. Just don't go there and bash her. You can say things in different ways without putting someone down. And if she's watching this, because I know in the past she has watched some of my videos, I don't know if she will, but if you are watching this, please just move on. Don't call me anymore. Don't text me. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. I want nothing to do with you. I want to move on with my life. The kids have moved on. I have no reason to talk to you anymore. So just move on. I don't want to talk to you. You've made my life miserable, and you made the kids' lives miserable for the past few years. So don't call me. Now, like I said, what I'm going to say, and I'm going to try to say it quick and condense it a little bit more than the first time. I'm going to try. I can't promise anything. Is that I'm not saying, like I said, any of this stuff for you to feel pity for me, but I'm going to say it for the second time so that maybe some of you can be encouraged, because I know that a lot of you are going through the same problems, and I know that because I've received over the years a lot of emails and a lot of the comments and personal messages and folks that I meet in person that are going or have gone or are having that same issue where they have a separation from their wives, or they're going through a divorce and they can't see their kids, and the ex is pitting the kids against the husband, and the kids don't want to see the father anymore for some reason. So if you are going through this, I've been there, and I can tell you that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I've been going through it since 2001, and we are now in 2020, and it's just the beginning almost of October. I don't even know what day is today, but today's the 28th. So we are almost in October, and this next November would have been the time that my son turns 18, and I wouldn't have to pay any more child support. So from 2001 till now, paying, well, not exactly from 2001, because we were separated numerous times, but since 2012, the last time we got separated, I've been paying child support, and then it got finalized into a certain amount when I finally got divorced. So I've been paying all that for over 4 years, 4 or 5 years, close to 6, and it's not easy. I mean, if you're going through that and you have to pay child support, regardless if you're a man or a woman, it's not easy doing that. I personally, I had to pay $400 a week. It's a lot of money. Every week, regardless if I was working or not, I had to pay child support, $400. And I did it because it's my kids. I love my kids. But I know that a lot of that money was not going towards my kids. She was using it for other things. But I still did it because I had to. It was the law, and it is what it is. That's what we agreed upon when we finalized the divorce, was that I would pay $400 a week. And I did that. So I did it by saving when I was working, and then when I was off in the winter, I would still be able to pay that amount and not have my kids go without. So also on top of that, I will, of course, always buy them clothing and other things that they need, aside from giving them a small allowance every week, which I have to, eventually I have to cut that off, because now they're independent. They want to be independent, so, but I'm still going to help them. I'm not going to do it yet. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked out over here, and I'm looking at the time, and I don't want to be talking again 15 minutes from now. Hopefully this will be done. But my issues with my ex-wife, and I have to say, in case you haven't seen some of my older videos where I mentioned some of the stuff that I've gone through, she has bipolar, and she was doing fine until we found out that my daughter was that she was pregnant with my daughter, and she went off the medication. We thought the body might compensate for her being off the medication, and then 6 months after my daughter was born, the troubles began. She woke me up in the middle of the night, like 4 o'clock in the morning, and yelling and screaming at me. And I had no idea why she was yelling and screaming at me. So I got up after trying to make sense of what was going on, went to the kitchen, started getting ready to go to work, and she continued yelling at me, and then walked away and said she was going to call the police on me. And I didn't think anything about it until she walked into the bedroom and started dialing the phone. It's one of those older phones, you know, with the wall phones with a... No, this was a cordless phone. We were a little bit more advanced. And she starts dialing, and I'm like, sure enough, she's calling the police. I have no idea why. So I went to the bedroom, took the phone from her, tried to reason with her, not understanding why she was mad at me. And I left the phone there, and a few minutes later I hear the doorbell, and as I walk down the stairs I hear police radios, and sure enough it was the police. So the police come up, and they don't see anything wrong, but they advise me to leave anyway, and I refused. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I leave? So I didn't leave. They left. She left with my daughter a couple hours later. And I called off from work. I just couldn't go to work anymore. And a few hours after that, after she left, I hear the doorbell again. So I walk downstairs, and as I'm walking downstairs, I hear the same police radio. And I wonder, what was it that she did was said this time. And when I opened the door, there were two police officers with a piece of paper in their hands, and they told me that they had a restraining order and I had 5 minutes to get my stuff and leave. I didn't know what a restraining order was. Never had any of those issues. I never had any issues with the police until I met my ex-wife. I didn't know what the inside of a police car looked like until I met my ex-wife. I didn't know what a courtroom looked like, not in person, until I met my ex-wife. A lot of things I didn't know until I met her. So they told me I had 5 minutes. I picked up some stuff and I left. And they told me you're not supposed to have any contact with her. Well, I had no idea. My mind wasn't functioning properly. So I called her, left a message, and I told her that, I left a message and said, I'm sorry, I don't know what I did wrong, what I said or did wrong. But if I did anything wrong or I said anything, please forgive me. And that was it. And I hung up. I went to the bank, got some money. Good thing I did. Went to work. A couple hours into work, I look in the mirror as I was backing up my machine, and I saw a police car behind me, a couple 100 feet behind me. So I'm like, that's got to be for me. I just had a feeling. So I stopped the machine. I walked to the officers, and they said, "Are you Lewis?" "Yeah." "Well, we have a warrant for your arrest." So she took that phone call and she went to the police and filed a report against me. And then a week or so later, she filed another report because apparently she had a bruise somewhere on her arm. And she's very fair-skinned. She bruises very easily. Any of you who are very fair-skinned, you probably have the same issue. Any little bump against anything, you bruise. So she had a bruise on her arm. She called the police or went to court or whatever she did, went to the police station, filed a report against me. And my dad called me and said, while I was at work, he said, "So what happened this time?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" "Well, there's a police here looking for you." So I called the police station and they said they were looking for me. And I told them I'm going to drive myself there. So I drove myself to the police station. They fingerprinted me again, took pictures. I had to post bail again. Good thing I had money again in my pocket. And then we went to court. And then when we went to court, I kind of talked to some of the folks that she had brought in from church, and she ended up dismissing it. And here's the thing: when I met my ex-wife, I met her at church. I didn't go to a bar to meet my ex-wife. I didn't go to a club to meet my ex-wife. I met her at church. I thought, this is pretty safe, and it wasn't. And I think the issue is her mental issue. That's what did us in. And so the first time she dismissed the case, and when I went to court for the other 2 times that I was falsely arrested, because I didn't really do anything. And when I went to court, the judge didn't want to hear anything. He did not want to hear our friend, who was at the time a probations officer and grew up with my ex-wife, went to school with her. She was on my side. The judge didn't want to hear her. The judge didn't want to hear the landlord that went with me also. The judge didn't want to hear anything. He did his spiel. He did his thing as if he was present in my house, and as if he witnessed me doing and saying things that I didn't do. But in his mind, I did. So I was found guilty, and he hits his gavel and he says $150 fine. And both times I went there, he didn't want to hear any witness, didn't want to hear nothing. Basically, what that court wanted was just money, and that's all they wanted. So twice I paid $150 fine. That's all I did. And so the second time was in 2002. My son was born then. and she again filed another restraining order against me. I was kicked out of my house. I don't remember for how long, a few weeks, a couple months. And then we went to court, and I didn't have an attorney. She didn't have an attorney. And I won. I presented my case, and I won. The judge dismissed the case. A few weeks later, we started talking again, and then I ended up moving back. But she never apologized for anything. In her mind, I was still guilty. But when I got married for better or for worse. When I got married, I didn't get married to be divorced. I got married to last a lifetime. This is why I never wanted to divorce my wife. Not only because of that, because of the promise that I made for better or for worse, but because I didn't want my kids to grow up in a divorce family, and I didn't want to be divorced. I can't believe I'm going to be divorced. I can't do that. So against the wishes of and the advice of a lot of people that knew me, I refused to file for divorce. And then in 2004, she filed another restraining order against me. And this time, I didn't have an attorney. She didn't have an attorney. Different judge, different result. He found me guilty. And even though I didn't do anything, all the things that she was saying about me weren't true. But it didn't matter, because it's her word against mine, and I guess the judge took her word. The second time the judge believed me, this time the judge believed her, and I lost. And unfortunately, because I lost, we were separated for 4 years. So for 4 years, I only had my children every other weekend. They were very young at the time, and I lost a tremendous amount of time from their lives, of being there every day. It's not easy, folks. It wasn't easy on me, and it wasn't easy on the kids. They still remember missing their dad there every day, and I couldn't be there. I just couldn't. I wasn't allowed to. And for 4 years, that was my life. She took 4 years to decide what she wanted to do. That she wanted to stay married, she wanted a divorce. I waited 4 years. And those were 4 long years, because for those 4 years I lived in fear basically every day of my life. And you know, it wasn't easy. It was every time I saw a police car coming to my work site, and this happened over and over again. Every time I saw a police car coming to my job site, I knew that she had called them and she had filed something against me, and I was going to be arrested in front of my coworkers. But every time that I saw that, and I'm like waiting for them to come, nothing would happen. So for the entire 4 years, I lived under this fear. Every time I saw a police car park in front of my parents' house, I thought they were coming for me. Every time they came by work, I thought they were coming for me. And this is what I lived with for 4 years. I also had to go to every day, every once a week for 6 months. Every week for 6 months, for about an hour or two a day. That time on a Friday when I went, I had to go to anger management because she claimed that I was angry. So the judge ordered me to go to anger management for 6 months. And for 6 months, I sat there listening to these guys. They were mostly, I think they were all guys, bad-mouthing their ex-wives or wives or girlfriends. And not once did I bad-mouth my wife. I just refused to do it. Yeah, I went through some stuff, but that's none of their business. You know, I'm not going to bad-mouth my wife. But I lived with that. And the numerous times going to court, almost every day of the week, receiving papers from the court. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to pay this, you have to pay that. It's just hard. It's hard on you, and at the same time, you have to get up every day. You have to go to work. You have to make an income because you have to provide your kids with child support and this and that. And you have to do all those things while being accused of things that you haven't done. So we ended up going back together, 2008, after 4 years. 2009, early 2009, I bought my house in Pennsylvania. And we seemed to be okay. She never apologized for anything, but we seemed to be okay until 2012. June 11th, 2012, she filed another restraining order. I came home one day, there was nobody home, the dog wasn't home. I didn't think anything about it. I went about doing my thing. I just drove an hour and a half, 2 hours from work. That was my commute from New Jersey to Pennsylvania in the afternoon, about 2 hours. And I forgot what I was doing, but I was in the living room when I heard the doorbell. And I walked to the front door and I think I see the police, because my doors had like windows, narrow windows on the side. And I'm like, is that the police? And when I opened the door, sure enough, the police had a piece of paper in their hands, and they told me, you have 5 minutes to get some of your stuff and leave. And that's when she did it again. For a while, I almost tried to patch things up again, because I did file for divorce right away, but then I told my attorney to hold that off. And I try to maybe, in my mind, I thought maybe I can patch things up again. I don't know. It would have been a mistake, I know. She would have done it the 5th and the 6th and the 7th. And the rest of our lives would have been wasting money with attorneys and going to court. That would have been the rest of my life. That's what I was going to be doing. But I told my attorney to hold off on the divorce. And I tried to work things out. I even bought her a brand new car. And 3 weeks after I bought her a brand new car, she asked me, and she didn't even ask, she just demanded that I give her more money. Money above and beyond what I was giving her. I was already giving her child support, and I was giving her extra money whenever I had it, off the books, not counting. I should have been counting towards child support, but it wasn't. I was just trying to be nice. And one day she just demanded that I give her more money. And I'm like, I've already given you a lot of money, I was thinking. Said, no, I don't have any more. So she texted back saying, get the hell out of my driveway. And I thought about it for a little bit, and I knew what she was capable of. So I decided, you know what? I'm done. So my van, I was parked there in her driveway doing my solar panel and stuff. So I secured my van, I left, I called my attorney, and I told him to go ahead and proceed with a divorce. And here I am today. And for a while I thought I was going to lose my kids. So if you are in this situation, I want you to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Things will get better eventually. I thought I was going to lose my kids. I thought for sure my kids will never talk to me again. Because for a while they didn't want to talk to me, especially my son. They hated me, I think, almost. Because they told me, they eventually told me that, Dad, she was just talking to us all these things about you, 24/7. And we thought they were true. And then you started talking to us a little bit. And then we started comparing things. And eventually, little by little, my kids came to realize that what she was saying wasn't true. And now recently, the last couple of years, she has tried to kind of do the same thing to my children that she has tried to do to me. In a little different way, but She has tried to have my daughter arrested over nothing that she did. She basically had a kid from her work stay at the apartment. And I told her the kid shouldn't be there. He's in his 20s. My daughter is a teenager. My son is a teenager. He shouldn't be there. Against my will, against the will of child support that I called them, against the will of so many people and my kids, she kept this guy there. This guy had an argument with my daughter, broke the door down, took her phone. My ex-wife called the police, and instead of having this guy kicked out, she wanted my daughter to be arrested. So, and in the meantime, she has tried to kick my daughter out almost every day for the past few years. And my son too has tried to have him put in the hospital and have him kicked out. But she really couldn't kick him out because he was not 18 yet. But my daughter was over 18, so she could be kicked out. So my kids have lived in fear for the past few years. But now they're free. They have their own place. They have freedom. So, in short, and I got to finalize this before I lose the footage again. If you are in some dark place, either your kids don't want to talk to you, or you're going through a lot of issues with your ex-wife or your ex-husband or your husband or your... Know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Things eventually will get better. Things will normalize themselves. Don't lose hope. Don't lose faith. And if your kids don't talk to you now, they will talk to you eventually. It might take a while. It all depends how much their brains is full of mush from your ex. But eventually, your kids will come around. Just love your kids. Treat them nice. Say nice things about your ex-wife. Don't say things that are not true. If you're going to say something, always say the truth. Don't say any lies about your ex. And the kids eventually will come to realize that you are a good parent. Maybe your ex is also a good parent. Maybe just the two of you don't get along. But don't use your kids. Love your kids. And don't lose hope. Because there's always hope. There's always light at the end of the tunnel.